Hello and welcome back, whiskey lovers and knowledge seekers. Look at much knowledge here, I would dare say. Welcome back to the whiskey reviews with me, the Whiskey Novice. And this time we are moving on to our second. I started in the last video, the last review, doing a whistle stop tour, I suppose you would call it, of the regions of Scotch whiskey, and this time we're moving on in that direction. If you've been watching any of my previous videos, you'll notice that I've changed location slightly. I haven't actually changed location. I'm still in the same room, but I've just moved around a bit because I did a bit of a live feed from this position recently, and someone commented that they thought it was a good place, good position. So I'm going to try it for a while. It's easier to set up, so I'll maybe stick with it. So what are we doing? Well, this time we're moving to the Highlands. We were in the Lowlands last time. We're moving to the Highlands, and in particular the Glenmorangie distillery. A Highland distillery established around the mid-1800s, just north of Inverness there, on the northeast coast of Scotland, I suppose you would say it is. And now, or most currently, owned by a French brand, luxury brand, LVMH, if my facts are correct, which is Louis Vuitton something Hennessy. Can't remember what the full title is. Although, if I read correctly, I believe I read somewhere that Diageo maybe still own quite a sizable chunk of it as well. Not too sure. But these are just small things that we know about Glenmorangie. What else do we know about Glenmorangie? Do we know anything else? Well, it also boasts the tallest stills in Scotland, which I would have thought, in theory, makes for a lighter spirit, because surely the taller the stills. Now, this is just my theory. I could be completely wrong here, and as I've said before, feel free to leave comments in the comment section. But surely the taller the still, the lighter the spirit, because it's getting longer in the distillation process. Plus the cuts should be larger, I would have thought. I'm just surmising there. Right, what have we got on here? Glenmorangie Original Balanced Honeyed Sweetness with notes of citrus, almonds and creamy vanilla for a rounded complexity and enticing smoothness. And year after year, exports have honoured our whiskey with a host of prestigious awards. Well, there you go. That's new to me. It is, I know from, it's probably on here somewhere, I'm not quite sure, but it is matured in first and second fill bourbon casks for 10 years. I'm sure I read somewhere that it's probably chill filtered, but I'm sure I read somewhere that it's natural colour. Not quite sure. It's bald at 40%. And as I say, first and second fill bourbon casks, so you'll not be expecting to find sherry or smoke or peat or anything like that there, because it's just not there. It doesn't exist. So if it's not there, you're not looking for it. Fair enough. As I say, I would imagine fairly light, fairly sweet is what we're aiming at here. So, yep, straight on the nose, sweet and bright and fresh. That's something to be said for it. It's light, but it's full, very full nose. Sweet, bright, fresh fruit. Yet again, not unlike the Bushmills 10-year-old actually, which I suppose triple distilled, single malt, fresh fruit, although slightly more citrusy, lemon, touch of orange, sherbet. It's quite, I would even say dessert-like, maybe mandarin or something like that. You know, something that it's those sweet citrusy fruits, but just, you know, sweet, but almost a mandarin sweet, where it's not over sweet. Maybe even a touch of grape. All right. It's quite dense on the palate, which, considering it is a fairly light whiskey, is quite surprising how dense it is. It's dense, but at the same time delicate, if that makes sense. The dry spiciness on the development. Malty, slightly malty, but very, very clean. Very clean, very fresh. Very, very nice single malt, and very affordable for a good Highland Scotch single malt. I thought, can't remember what I paid for this actually, but I mean, I know just from what I've seen that it is affordable. As I say, I'm sure I've seen somewhere that it's natural coloured as well, which finish is fairly medium length. There's something there. It is there, but certainly I wouldn't consider it a long finish. Quite malty actually. The malt shows up on the finish at almost right at the end. I mean, when it's been gone a minute or two, it's still there in your palate, but you would say that the maltiness is there. Slightly spicy, but easy to handle. It's not, and I would say it's a peppery spice, black pepper, and as I say, it's very easy to handle. Almost a hint of cardboard, but then that would come. You would find that with malt, anyway. I think. Very, very pleasant. Bear with me. I'm going to add a touch of water. I forgot to bring my water with me. Bear with me. Brought the water, but poured most of it around the floor. But I did get a tiny drop into the glass, which is all I wanted. So a touch of water. I don't know whether it actually needs water because it's 40%, and it doesn't fight you anyway. It's pleasant and sits well. You know, really all you're going to do, I suppose, is maybe thin the experience a wee bit, but it certainly hasn't changed the nose. That was literally a little drop of water. There wasn't very much went in there. I would say it's actually intensified the sweetness on the palate a bit. Yeah, it has. It's made the palate slightly sweeter. It's bringing out some, it's bringing that fresh fruit into the palate, which was a tad lost. It actually, as I say, it was quite similar to the Bushmills 10, where the nose was all bright fruit and fresh, but a lot of that tended to get lost in the palate then. But now, as I say, that little touch of water just brought that back. It's also taken some of the dryness out of the finish. Hasn't really toned down the pepper. The pepper's still there and holding well. It's actually not a bad thing. But it has, as I say, it's just taken a bit of the dry edge off it, which is actually, I suppose to a certain extent, it has helped. Just that touch of water. Yeah, a very, very serviceable malt and a very good, I would say a very good entry to Scotch whisky. I'm actually going to, it's a good opportunity actually for me to get a big Scotch whisky out of the way that I hear, and I hear this an awful lot in from Irish whisky drinkers, particularly here in Ireland, Northern Ireland, whatever, you know, and it's, I don't like Scotch whisky because it's medicinal and I don't like peat and I don't like this, and this is my beef, because this is Scotch whisky. There's no peat on it. There's no smoke on it whatsoever. As I say, it's a perfectly serviceable Scotch whisky and perfectly pleasant Scotch whisky. And this is what annoys me a bit, is that it's preconceptions. People have tried, and generally you'll find that maybe tried a Talisker or Highland Park or something like that, something that isn't even overly peated, but it's smoky maybe, and I can understand why people, I can understand that smoke and peat are a great divide in whisky, but at the same time that doesn't speak for all Scotch whisky, as you and I know. So if you have any friends out there who don't like peat or smoke or whatever, and have basically scored a line through Scotch whisky and said, no, I don't like Scotch whisky because this is what it tastes like, having a preconceived idea in their mind that all Scotch whisky tastes like that, point them in the direction of Glenmorangie or something along those lines, Glenfiddich or something like that, because they're a perfectly good, well-rounded, smooth-tasting whisky. You know, Scotch whisky that they've got a good shape, good form, and as I say, no peat, no smoke involved. So you know, this is the sort of direction that for newcomers, it would be a great gateway Scotch. So what would I rate this out of 10? I would actually give it, because it's such a good gateway Scotch, it's such a good, well-rounded Scotch for the price that it comes in at generally, I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10, because I think it deserves it. That's just my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to leave it at that and say, here's to your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.